If you would have stopped me back in 2015 when I was walking out of the original Minions movie with my friends to tell me that not only were we going to get two more, but that they would both be better than the last, I would have sent you for a lobotomy. Hi everybody, Anthony here from Awesome Anthony Productions, and today I'm going to give you my review of Minions and Monsters. Rather than a direct follow-up to The Rise of Gru, this one resets the timeline a bit, giving us the intro to the Minions again, but this time with a new tribe and a trio of new leads, James, an artistic outcast, and his two closest friends, Henry and Ed. Searching for a new big boss, the Minions eventually end up in Hollywood during the golden age of the 1920s and set out to create a monster movie with James at the helm.
James, you have a real gift for filmmaking.
But instead of just relying on movie magic, James decides to actually summon real Lovecraftian monsters for his film. And that's gonna go about as well as it sounds. I already started the review spoiling my main takeaway, but wow was I shocked at how great this movie was. Not since the Madagascar franchise have I seen a trio of movies that started off middling and just okay in the beginning, got significantly better with the second one, check out my review of Rise of Gru, and ended up just goated by the third. Now to start with my praise, damn has Illumination's animation just gotten better with time. Aged like a fine wine. So far, I think the Mario movies have been them at their best, but even in Rise of Gru, I was very impressed by that animation. And this just takes it even farther. Pixar, even with the cartoony aspects of their characters, they still try to go for photorealism in their environments, lighting, and shading. Sony, at least for the Spider-Verse movies, go for a more stylized, comic book, hand-drawn feel. DreamWorks, something like Puss in Boots: The Last Wish or the upcoming Forgotten Island, feel like they came out of an illustrated fairy tale. But Illumination? They have the detail, sure, and their lighting and shadows have just improved with time. But this really stood out to me for how hard they leaned into the cartoony aspects of this universe. Every minion, every character is so expressive and animated so fluidly, while taking advantage of old animation techniques like squash and stretch that really do make it feel like a big budget cartoon. All the way down to the opening logos, which very cleverly harken all the way back to the original Universal Studios logo, before giving Illumination its own vintage animation style logo that immediately put a smile on my face. That actually brings me into my next and main thing that I love about this movie. This is a love letter to the golden age of Hollywood. Every aspect of the filmmaking process, at least till it was done in the 1920s, is on display here, recreated with so much love and passion behind it. The handcrafted sets, the elaborate costumes, the in-camera effects, the old physical way of editing, the stunts that were near-death experiences occurring on a daily basis. It's all there and beautifully animated. There's even a clever reference in the beginning to Safety Last, and several Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin films that I know kids won't get, but as a cinephile, I enjoyed every second of those. Even the opening credits offer a bit of a film history lesson, cleverly and expertly animating the minions into classics like A Trip to the Moon, A Train Pulls into the Station, or even the first collection of moving pictures ever, Plate 626 from Animal Locomotion. And it just keeps going. So many references, visual homages, puns. This movie is just filled with passion and love for film from beginning to end, especially when the monster movie aspects come in. So much love for classic monster movies like Bela Lugosi and Lon Chaney films. Moving on, let's talk about the voice cast because they all bring it. Pierre Coffin has totally settled into his minion voice at this point, and even through the incomprehensible gibberish, he brings so much heart and feeling to all these little yellow dudes, and the fact that he's voiced hundreds of them and can still pull that off, it honestly reminds me of what D. Bradley Baker was able to do with all the clones in the Clone Wars, and I understand how crazy that is for me to say. Now, for the voice actors that actually have English lines that aren't just gibberish, this is a stacked cast. We've got Christoph Waltz as the director that discovers the minions, bringing heart, wonder, and extreme stress to the role. Jeff Bridges as a pair of good cop, bad cop executives that run the studio that the minions work for, who are simultaneously intimidating and endearing. Jesse Eisenberg as a parody of Gort from The Day the Earth Stood Still. Dort, who brings plenty of awkward, fish-out-of-water energy, while having one of the most random but surprisingly effective subplots here. A romance with a woman suffragette activist voiced by Zoe Deutsch, who was, surprisingly, very endearing and sweet, with the activism just being a part of the character and not the main aspect of her. A lesser movie would have just turned this character into an annoying, cynical lecture, and I'm glad that they let her be fun and really leaned into the romance between her and a robot. And then, of course, we have the always effective Trey Parker as an ancient demonic being named Gumi, who is a lot goofier than that description made him sound.
Okay, I'm Gary Orkham Oliver Magma Ichabod the Deceiver, but my friends just call me Goomy for short.
He's not in the movie much, but Parker's voice, as always, is strong as hell, even if he does sound a bit too much like Cartman in a few scenes. As for the humor, I laughed so much in this movie, and so did my wife, more than we expected to. Not only are the old Hollywood references continuously hilarious, but I'll never get sick of the slapstick between the minions, and the movie once again leans into this franchise's mean streak with a shocking amount of dark humor that, thankfully, never shies away from the goofiness of the minions, but also doesn't shy away from things like, oh, I don't know, On-screen death. And that score? John Powell, one of the GOATs, one of my favorites. Seriously, How to Train Your Dragon is probably my favorite film soundtrack of all time. He absolutely brought some heat here, really playing into the classic 1920s and sci-fi influences, and going to some truly bonkers places at times. To end off the praise, the movie's only a brisk 90 minutes. I mean, what else could you ask for? It's not perfect though. The whole Hollywood plot takes a while to get to, like 20-25 minutes. And though I appreciated Allison Janney's voice role as a tour guide at a cinema history museum, those bookended sequences with her telling the story of the movie just weren't really necessary. It more so just felt like a way to show off classic movie IPs like E.T. or The Matrix, along with a particular cameo that, although not really necessary, did make me laugh pretty hard. From there, I know we were centering on a new minion tribe, not the ones that ended up with Gru, but the first act really just felt like a retread of the beginning of the first Minions movie. And like I said, it takes a little too long for the story to actually get the Minions to Hollywood. Even then, with those small complaints, overall, this movie is way better than it had any right to be. It's funny, it's beautifully animated, it has a great score from John Powell and a stacked voice cast, and best of all, it's a passionate love letter to the golden age of Hollywood, classic sci-fi and monster movies, and the art of filmmaking in general. And that alone is enough to warrant seeing it. And that's my review of Minions and Monsters. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, leave a like, comment, let me know if you saw this and what you thought, and I will see you on the next one.